Hi all. I was just reading a research study today, and it showed that as humans, we internally give ourselves well over 50,000 messages a day. And now these aren't emails or full-blown letters to ourselves, but just thoughts and small things that our mind shoots past or rambles over quickly each day. But the more interesting thing wasn't the number of thoughts, but that it was determined that on some level, and I'm not sure how they did this, that almost 80% of those 50+ thousand little internal messages are less than positive. That on some level we have a built-in instinct to think things aren't good enough, the weather's not great enough, our lives aren't perfect, our children aren't doing well, those kind of messages. And so I think on some level we kind of have to think about that for a bit. In my own self-study, I would say that it's pretty true. In my own life, I wouldn't say that I was always negative, but that I always had a way of spinning things to not be good enough or not be the way I thought they should be. It's unfortunate because, as I've spoken about, we really need to stop and recognize the good in our lives. And I know that's not hard. I know that's hard to do, especially in difficult times when things aren't always going the way we want. But I think also within those moments when things aren't going the way we think, we can have valuable lessons to learn. One of the things that helped me in my own journey was to realize that I, on some level, do not have to be my every thought. And although I do believe in the power of positive thoughts and what we can be, I don't think that bombarding ourselves with negative messages, small or large, are going to help us in the long run. I think our minds and our bodies will react to that. So we can and should focus on the positive moments in our life. And I have mentioned before that I think the positive far outnumbers the negative, but our internal messages sometimes can be quite negative. We can think of those kind of thoughts, those words, those emotions, that internal dialogue as a type of radar or messaging system. Why are we having such a hard time? What are we struggling with? And why are we having this dialogue and choosing these messages and these words? I think the greater purpose or greater reason for bringing attention to things like this is that there is power in attention. I think there's power in what we focus on and what we give attention to. And by doing so, we begin to understand ourselves a little better. Again, it always comes back to those fundamental principles of presence and mindfulness. I think just about everything you can say about Buddhism comes down to those concepts. And even beyond Buddhism, if you're not Buddhist, regardless of your religion, I think that it's always going to come down to those types of concepts, presence and mindfulness. So any way you can engage those in your life and bring them to a more predominant spot in your life and in your thinking, I think we're going to benefit. I think the greatest discovery any of us can make is that as human beings, if we can alter our internal dialogue, our mindsets, we can alter our lives. And so on that, I'm going to leave us today. As always, peace and love, Jim.